clear about your approach. It is essentially to say, someone like yourself, you're what, you're 70 plus.
Yes.
You will make your own choice about how much risk of exposure you want to take, and you will decide whether you lock down. But the rest of us will make our own choice, and most young people would be advised just get on with things.
Exactly. I doubt whether it was ever justifiable to deprive people of their liberty because the government had failed properly to prepare for a pandemic. But the only respectable argument there's ever been for a lockdown was that pushing infections into the future was a strictly temporary measure to allow time for the NHS's intensive care capacity to catch up. Now, it's obvious that the NHS capacity has caught up. That's partly because the government has done a very good job in increasing ICU capacity, and partly because the threat was always grossly overstated. We have 2 huge temporary Nightingale hospitals lying empty. We have at the moment a large unused ICU capacity. And that's why we heard nothing last night from the PM about saving the NHS, and the phrase has been dropped from their slogan. So this lockdown is no longer about saving the NHS, it's about shielding us from the risk of infection. And frankly, we can all make our own decisions about that.
I think it's about getting it to such a low level that we can then more or less live with it suppressed without any lockdown for anybody.
That is not a good enough justification for a qualified house imprisonment applicable in principle to the whole population. It really is not. This is the worst interference with personal liberty in our history. For what is, by historical standards, not a very serious pandemic, except for particular categories of vulnerable people who can isolate themselves voluntarily.